Hi, everybody. Today's topic is party of one when you are the primary caregiver for you. And the description is not all cancer survivors have an extensive or consistently available network of support. Getting to and from medical appointments, processing difficult information, making treatment decisions, or finding your way through dark emotional moments is hard. Doing all of this on your own is even more challenging. While certain situations, like a move or a significant life change, may contribute to isolation, feeling alone can also happen even when people are around us. So, you're joining us today to talk about the truth with other survivors as Julie Larson, who will create the possibility of walking through cancer survivorship in a way that might be different for you. So we're thrilled to have Julie Larson here with us today. Julie is a therapist with her practice is specifically in this world. And so I feel very lucky and gracious that you are joining us today. Julie, I'm going to pass the floor to you. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Jillian. It's such an privilege of mine to be able to get the chance to sit with all of you today. Hello, thanks for carving this time out to be together. I'm glad that we're all here. And boy, this is such an important topic that maybe we don't talk about enough. I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption that if you've logged in today, that most or many of you are living on your own, or perceive yourself or feel as though the majority of the caregiving that you do for yourself is kind of that burden's on you. Let's just kind of get started and we're going to get moving. But I truly, and I know that Jillian said that this call is recorded, so we're going to be very respectful of that for you. But I would really love for this to feel like a two-way street and a conversation because your words and your thoughts and whatever is coming up and resonating for you as I get going here matters so much. And it, in fact, kind of often directs and guides where I go. So I am going to empower you right now that if you're listening and you're there, bring that chat box up. And if there's something that I say that you agree with, that you think differently about, that you notice for yourself, add it in the chat. I'm going to watch that. I can kind of do both things. I'll watch kind of at the same time and I'll weave that in there. I'll make sure that we kind of keep those names private, but I'll weave that into our conversation because what you're thinking and feeling and what's coming up for you matters. I would also empower you all to grab a piece of paper and a pen because maybe there's something I say that gives you a concrete tip or trick or way to think about this that would be helpful to you. We're going to kind of span the gamut of kind of validating this experience of being a primary caregiver for yourself, but also how you're going to get it done. Like rubber hits the road, how are we going to kind of do this and take care of you in smart, healthy ways? All right, it's the lay of the land. Let's get going. Let's see. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay. And do movie around here. Okay. Party of one. When you are the primary caregiver of you. Let's begin by putting some words to what might be the rumble in your head. Like when you are home alone, when you are having hard, dark moments, moments of uncertainty, worry, physical kind of just fatigue, or you don't feel good, or maybe you feel pain, whatever that might be. I'm thinking, and I'm thinking about some of the clients I work with. I'm thinking about some of the groups I've done. These are some of the narratives that I notice are in people's mind. The worry around, can I take care of my needs throughout the trajectory of my treatment? Like, okay, the protocol's been laid out. I know where what doctor's appointments I need to be at. The calendar is filled out, but how am I going to feel? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to drive myself there? When I feel lonely, the emotional state of loneliness, or when I'm in the dark of the night or in just a quiet, quiet day and I'm wrestling with darker feelings, then what? What do I do? How do I comfort myself? How do I reassure? How do I make it through those difficult moments? Not just in other words, not just the physical medical piece, but the emotional and mental heaviness of a cancer diagnosis. Who can I trust to talk through big decisions related to my treatment? So listen, if I had a spouse at home, if I had a close family member, that would be somebody that I would powwow with, that I would kind of figure out where to go in this treatment decision making fork in the road. How do I do this? How do I make these decisions? For me alone, who is that person? Do you know? Where do I go? What if I don't feel well enough to get to or from the hospital or the doctor's office? So I've got all great intentions. I've got the plan laid out on paper, but I wake up on a Tuesday of treatment and I do not feel great. I feel weak. I feel fragile. I feel nauseous. I feel headache. Something doesn't feel right, and I'm not sure how I can get to treatment. Then what? How will I manage the other practicalities? So cancer doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's not the only thing I can do. I live alone. I'm the person in this house that's responsible for getting groceries in the fridge, for doing the laundry. So I've got underwear to put on and clothes to wear and towels to use when I get out of the shower. And I got to make meals and go to the grocery store. Who's going to continue to keep this show on the road, keep this machine happening? And if I can't work, if I've been working while going through treatment, and that's my primary source of income that keeps all these wheels turning, and what if I can't, then what? And what if there's an emergency? What if something happens in an unexpected moment? There's an emergency. So I'm just going to kind of float it out to you. This is kind of some of the rumble that can exist. It's very normal. It's very understandable. If there are other things that I've missed, add them to the chat. If some of this resonates, let me know. Where am I hitting? How is this hitting you? Is there more going on? Let's kind of you can use that chat and let me know. Can I do this alone? So I'm here with you right now because I think the answer is yes. Truth is, you're all sitting in front of me today. Something has gotten you to this day. So something is at work, something is happening that is getting you through it already. What is that? Can we name it? Can we identify it? Can we put some words to that too? That sometimes is helpful. Where to begin? Okay, so let's get started. I would advocate or empower you to let your care team know that you live alone. All right. So that helps them to know what you're dealing with when you walk out of their room. They might not know, they might make assumptions. Even if you live alone, they might assume that there's family right around the corner or that there are friends that are all rallying around you. And that might be the case for some of you. But for others of you, it might feel very isolated, and having your healthcare team know that might be helpful because they can do some adjustments in scheduling. It's not as rigid as it may seem. It may be easier for you to come in for appointments later in the day so that you've got space and time to get up in the morning. Or when you notice energy levels and changes for you, you can work with your team to kind of see if that helps with time. Support with medication management. It's a lot to figure out if you're somebody that's taking a lot of different medicines and when that can get confusing and it's a lot to figure out. So you can, when you tell them alone, I need help with this, help me to create a schedule, help me to create a routine, help me to understand when I take what and how. Your medical team and your healthcare, they might have connections to local resources or things that you may not even be aware of within the hospital system to help with transportation. So back to that first slide of what if I wake up in the morning, I've got a car, I've got public transportation, I've got ways to get there. But what if I wake up in the morning, I'm this way? Oh, well, that's a moment that you call this. And they might let you know of a resource that exists. So you don't know of those things unless you begin to share and talk out loud with your team. They may also have the keys to support groups, not too dissimilar to where we are today, but also other things that are local, whether that is through your cancer center or other local groups. And just to be with other survivors and peers can feel incredibly helpful and help reduce that risk of isolation and loneliness. Okay, so that's letting your healthcare team know, putting it on the table so they can turn some lights on in the room, right? Identify your inner circle. So if you sit back and consider, each of you are different, who are the people that support you best in your life? Do you know who that is? And we sometimes don't articulate and verbalize that enough to them, but maybe it's a moment of noticing it and saying, okay, after I hang up this call, I'm going to call my sister, I'm going to call my oldest daughter, I'm going to call my best friend, I'm going to call this person, I'm going to let them know gosh, it occurred to me in a group I was in earlier today that I need to tell you how important and how grateful I feel that you're walking alongside me in this. Thank you. Just identify who that circle is. Let them know how much they matter to you. That reinforces their presence in your world. Regular communication, figuring out with that person how you talk regularly, and that might be, we're going to talk later in another slide about kind of setting up some routines for yourself through the day. But communicating with some of this inner circle could be part of a daily routine. And then thinking about when you think about this inner circle or these people in your life that are available to you, and I don't know who they are, you're each different. They might be friends, they might be neighbors, they might be community of faith, they might be family, they might be, just peripheral support group, people that you kind of meet along the way. Why are they in this group for you? Is it because they are capable and they are able to do certain tasks for you? Like there's a neighbor who always is here to help me walk the dog or pick up mail or kind of help with certain things in my home. That's a task. Or there's another person I call that's fantastic just to talk to and somehow listens and responds in all the right ways, but lives quite far from me. So I really can't ask that person to do anything practically or logistically for me. So who are the different players? Are they task oriented? Are they companionship oriented? Maybe they're both. But just think about that for yourself. And I think there's value sometimes in even just writing it down and identifying it. Build scaffolding. Okay, so we know that isolation is a risk factor for anxiety and depression. Okay. And one of the things that can help with both anxiety, depression, loneliness, and isolation is routine and structure. I like to think of routine and structure as something you can hang your day on, right? We can just dump all of our coats in the coat closet. It's a hot mess. Or you can put everything on a hanger, and then it's something to kind of put some structure to the space, right? So, how can you build some scaffolding around your days? How can you create moments for meeting your needs? So, this isn't on this slide, but one of the things I talk a lot about with the clients who walk in my office is that when we have an uncomfortable feeling, so think about this, when you feel irritable, when you feel lonely, when you feel sad, when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel dread, most of the time, when we have an uncomfortable feeling, there's an unmet need pushing underneath that feeling. What are you needing? So, if you're feeling lonely, are you needing connection? If you're feeling worried, are you needing reassurance and information? If you're feeling irritable, are you needing to organize? Are you needing to sit down and kind of get some answers? Are you needing space? What are you needing underneath that? If you discover, I have a need for socialization, I have a need for play or joy or mental stimulation, I have a need for this. How can you, when we go back to this concept here of building scaffolding or creating routine in your day, how can you carve out spaces in your day to meet those needs? Every day, over coffee, I do a crossword puzzle. And that feels like mental stimulation. It feels like kind of parachuting out of my life for a little bit, taking a break, giving my mind something to do. Every day when I take the dog for a walk or I go get the mail, I look up at the sky and I breathe and I quiet and I kind of commune with something bigger than me, right? Every afternoon in this kind of quiet stillness of the afternoon, that's when I always call my friend Jane because she tends to be available at that time. And I look forward to that moment in my day where I connect and we touch base about each other's lives. So think about what you might be needing and how you can make some routine out of meeting that need. Um, be mindful in that scaffolding or in that routine. And you all know each other the best. You're the expert on you. What are the peaks and valleys of your energy? You're all different. Um, are you a morning person where you wake up in the morning and you've kind of got that energy and that's when your attention and your focus is most clear? Well, then we're going to put things in our schedule at that point in the day that might require more energy and attention, right? By the afternoon, you're quieter. You need to do things that don't require that. Or maybe you're slow to wake. And so then you find that you're most focused at a different point in your day. So when you think about building this routine and building this scaffolding, do it with intentionality and with wisdom. You know yourself. Okay, I really am a believer in this routine, but I'm also a believer in flexibility, right? So we can, in fact, sometimes I think the value of a routine or the value of structure is that we know that it's there, and now within that space we can kind of maneuver, right? So we kind of have to allow for both. I've got that word "and" underlined there. We have to have the capacity to be both flexible with the day. You know what? This day isn't going the way I wanted it to. We're gonna manage my expectations. We're gonna cross about 7 things off the list that I thought I wanted to do, and we're just gonna focus in this way. Or today is a day that I notice my body is needing more rest, so I'm just going to give myself that compassion and be flexible, right? At the same time, and we have to also have discipline, right? Because your wellness is not going to be, it's going to begin to deteriorate or feel a little bit less if you spend all your days laying on a couch or all your days stuck inside your bedroom or your house. So sometimes our mental health and sometimes our well-being also depends on some discipline when we got to get up, get in the shower, put your clothes on, get outside, connect with somebody. You've got to be able to do both. Okay, so just think about that or consider that for yourself. Again, I'm totally invite you if there's things that you're thinking about as I'm talking, hurdles you experience, obstacles, ways this is resonating for you that are showing up, feel free to add it into the chat. I will take a look at that too. When we're thinking about your day to day, visualize your energy bank account, right? Let's think about a piggy bank, right? And that you have to put things in and then you can take things out. So when you look at the big month ahead, we're in the month of November. November includes Thanksgiving. November might include gatherings with others, right? So when you think about what's coming up or preparing, or maybe there's a doctor's appointment on your calendar, maybe there's travel to a doctor's appointment or travel to something. What do you need to do to feel like you've got some reserve in the tank for certain big important things that are coming up? And the days preceding that or the days after that, you might think about putting more back into the tank, taking it easy, having more self-compassion. So think about how you prioritize what needs to be done, right? Not only where you spend your energy and how that's going for you, but also just like when you look at the day ahead, how do I stack this day? I kind of call it stacking the day. Like what needs to get done? What do I want to get done? Pacing. So we're kind of thinking about planning, like where do I need to plan for kind of breaks or quieter time? Where do I need to plan for kind of getting ready and feeling prepared for something energy or logistically? How do I prioritize any one day? But then also pacing, right? Set realistic expectations. Pacing can be related to the number of things that you're doing in any given day. It can also be related to time management. Used to take me this long to do the laundry. Now it takes me about double that amount of time. I used to be able to kind of meal prep on a certain day of the week, and now I find that that's too much for me, and it's easier for me to do meal planning or making meals in this way. It's easier for me to have things that are ready made. It means easier for me to do this. So just kind of begin to think about how managing or shifting your expectations of yourself could also be kind of considered pacing. And then finally, this question that I have over here by the piggy bank is what draws on your energy bank account in either more significant ways or even unhelpful ways, right? So that requires some self-awareness and maybe a moment of stepping back, thinking about your time and noticing, good gracious, I can totally get lost in my phone. And I look up and like minutes and hours have gone by and I'm like, what have I been doing? Or I find that by the end of the day, I just want to be doing these things. I'm beating myself up about what I haven't done, and that's not serving me. And maybe I need to spend my energy noticing what I did do through the day and then kind of preparing and planning for the day ahead or getting ready for bed in a way that's comforting and quiet. So begin to notice what steals energy from you, what gives you energy, what feels good, and adding and subtracting in those ways too. Practicalities. Use energy days to prepare for non-energy days. Am I right? I don't know. You tell me. Um, I've sat with so many cancer survivors over the course of my career that it seems to me, and what I hear in most people, is that there are days when you do feel a little bit more capable, a little bit more clear, have a little bit more energy, and then other days that feel a bit heavier, a bit harder, whether that's an emotional weight and uncertainty and sadness and maybe even grief, or the anxiety of an upcoming appointment when things are harder to focus, or a day when you just physically aren't feeling well from a treatment. Capitalize on the energy days when you wake up and you're like, today feels really quite good. Notice those days and give yourself credit for what you're doing to take care of yourself. Maybe plug in some of those things that help you to feel more like yourself. Identify what tasks feel easier for you to ask others to do. So on a day that doesn't feel good, there may be sometimes it's incredibly difficult for so many people to ask for support. That's natural. I think you're not alone. I think many people feel that way. But if we look at all of the different things that you're doing, what are you more easily able to let go of? At the end of the day, I think that it would be easy for me to just ask somebody to just respond to this particular engagement on my behalf, or to inform these other friends who keep asking me how I'm doing, and I don't have the energy to let them know. I care that they do know, but I just can't keep communicating it over time. I'm going to let this friend that I love and trust be the communicator to that friend group or to that circle of people, right? So, what things can you delegate that feel easier to let go of? And what things do you feel a great sense of ownership of wanting to continue to do on your own? On an energy day, on a day when you feel more like you've got more in the tank, backstock pantry items or basic household products that you're like, oh my gosh, when I'm not feeling up for it, it's so nice to have that in the fridge to just grab. I'm going to make sure we're stocked in that way. I want to make sure that when I look around the bathroom, there's toilet paper, there's paper towel, there's toothpaste, there's basics that I need so that when I'm feeling crummy and down, I don't also go to the bathroom and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I also don't have toilet paper. Right? So just use your energy days to care for yourself in the future, to care for your future self. Keep easy to prepare options stocked. That just kind of mentioned that. Give yourself permission to take shortcuts in household management or meal prep. This may not be your normal you. That's okay. This is not a normal time, right? So if you're like, I always love to do these homemade things, or I prefer to have the kitchen look in a certain way, or have my home be in a certain way, or I don't know what it might be. I want to take the time to respond to my friends and to care for them and to connect with them. But today, I don't have it in me. Today I'm quieter. Not always. It's not how I will be forever and ever, amen. But today I find I'm quieter in a group. Today I find that it's easier for me to have grab and go meals. I will not that I'm giving up cooking forever. I love that and I will value that. But today this is easier. I'm going to give myself permission. So kind of thinking, in those terms. I'm looking at the chat here and I've got a note. This is exactly what works in terms of living in the moment. Ugh, allowing a thank you for adding that in there, allowing yourself self permission, order meals for delivery if you're not able to cook, going to a lot of groceries now have pre-made things. It's right there. Just get it. I have a client who just said to me, it's a bit more expensive, Julie, and I am watching my finances as I go through this in a different way. But I have found it valuable for me to just get the catering platter of cut fruit because it's good food. It's all cut, it's all there, and I can just grab and eat it as opposed to cutting up the melon or cutting up the pineapple. It's just already done. And that's been really helpful to her. Does she usually order the catering tray of fruit? Or get it when she's at the grocery? No, but right now it's helpful. So notice those little shortcuts you can do. Okay. Who are you going to call? Let's go back to that list of others in your life, your inner circle, your people. Prepare a list of people that you've got at the ready that you can sling out of that back pocket that are ready and willing and able to support you in very specific ways. Okay. So I know that by and large, you are wanting to maintain control and be the person that drives you to and from treatment, or that takes care of your meals, or that, frankly, my good gracious, the intimacy of somebody doing your laundry. Are you kidding me? No, I got it. But if you were really feeling kind of down and out, who would you trust to come in and throw a load in the wash or bring things out of the dryer and fold it and get it back in your drawers? Who's that person? If you're really done now, who has the flexibility in their schedule that you can say, hey, listen, I'm not feeling up for it. Is there any chance you could drive me to my appointment? Who has that flexibility in their schedule? There may be times when you journal, or you write, or you've got close people that you kind of figure it out with, or a support group and you talk. But in a late night moment or an early moment, and you really need to talk something through, who's a good listener to you? Who can just sit and listen and says what you need them to say? On the other hand, who solves it? Who rolls their sleeves up and is like, listen, I got you. What we're going to do is we're going to get this done, and this done. And by the end of the day, we're going to get your fridge stocked. We're going to get the laundry done. We're going to make sure the kitchen is clean and the dishwasher is emptied, and you are resting and cozy and clean sheets at night. That's just how we're going to get it done here. I'm sweeping in. Who's a problem solver? Who's a hard worker? Who's strategic in your world? When you're quiet and you can't do it, who can come in and get it done? Do you have other people like that? Who has a flexible schedule? I said that before. So thinking about that for you when you think of others that are around you, allowing people some of us have had to learn how to ask help. I think I see that in the chat, learning how to ask for help. And I think sometimes the learning how to ask for help is about acquiescing control, right? There's that piece of it. I think it's also some degree of intimacy, right? That when you ask for help, then people are going to enter into a realm of your identity that feels maybe a bit more private or a bit more vulnerable. So they require a degree of safety in that, and also a degree of trust that the person that you ask for help also believes you are quite capable. You are managing in really smart, healthy ways, that you're asking for help doesn't mean that somehow you're falling apart or you're losing it. No, you need help with this specific task in this specific moment today. And that person can kind of come in. I think the other thing to say, and you've probably heard this before, is that if you are someone that does have people surrounding you and does not maybe living with you, but around peripheral around you, they may not know. They may not know what to do. They if they've never experienced cancer, if they've never experienced something like this, let's not jump to the conclusion that they don't care. They may just simply not know that you're needing help. Maybe you're coming across as quite capable and always have, and they don't even know that this is a struggle. So kind of gently saying, hey, I could really use some help with this. Would you be willing? Might open their eyes. And I think there could be a sense of surprise of like people jump right up. We'll have to see. It's worth testing. It's worth knowing. Educate yourself. So again, back to you on your own, navigating and caring for yourself. Begin to look for patterns. I think, and in working in this field again for a long time, it is often the case that symptoms kind of appear and ebb and flow in kind of a pattern. So if you're starting in that, and that can be the case for any new treatment change. So if you're starting a new treatment, or if you're shifting gears, what happens on day one? What happens on day two? What happens on day three? I don't know where all of you are in your treatment today. Um, but I do find that that is novel to people who are just beginning. The idea that their symptoms would be somewhat of a pattern. On day three, I tend to have more energy. Day one, I'm kind of down and quiet. Or the reverse. Day one, I've got a lot of energy. I can come home from treatment and I can get some things done. But by day two, I start to feel kind of yuck, right? I'm seeing some things pop up in the chat. I'm going to take a look there. That somebody else in the chat is also saying, yes, that piece about sharing with others because they don't always know and that we can't assume. So validated there that others are discovering that for themselves too. If you have the means, outsource some labor for a short time or low point, that, oh, a laundry service or a laundry pickup or somebody to come in and help clean the house. I don't know. We all have different degrees of means, and that might be a point of pride that you've never wanted to do something like that or thought that you needed it. But for right now, if you have the ability to do kind of like the fruit tray, it might be nice to have somebody come in and tidy up the house so it's all cleaned at one point. Um, And then I have another note about resources for medical escort services. If you can't get to and from medical appointments. And that is an excellent question for a medical team. So when you go into your hospital and your treatment team, ask those people boots on the ground. I don't know where you all are coming from. I'm assuming the New York City area, but different resources might be available in different areas. But that is something that a social worker on staff at the hospital or even a nurse navigator should know local or hospital related resources for medical transport or for help in those types of situations. So, excellent question. You may not need it today or perceive that you'll ever need it, but goodness, wouldn't it be great to have that information at the ready if you do unexpectedly? So, great question. Um, Learn to let people help. Oh, we were just talking about this, but we just said that some people might just not know, right? They don't, they're just haven't, they're naive. They've never been here themselves. They just don't know what to do or how to step up and ask. And people often say, let me know if I can be of help. And that's really not helpful, right? When I talk to other caregivers, I tell them to be very specific about their expressions of wanting to be helpful. But on the flip side, you can be very specific, right? Very clear about this would be helpful. Something to consider. Asking for help deepens that relationship. Have you ever been on the other side of that when somebody has reached to you kind of privately or in a moment and said, I'm needing some help here. And it immediately makes you feel good. My good gracious, it makes you feel valued that somebody trusted you to come to you to ask you for that they feel like they can depend on you, that they feel safe with you. So, and that feels really good. So when you ask for help, you're giving someone else that feeling that you are specifically asking them, that you trust them, that you believe that they can. It leads to quicker solutions than you spinning your wheels over here and trying to figure out how to do it. Just ask for help. And that way it kind of begins the open dialogue of processing that through. It shows the other person that you trust them to care for you. And it gives people, this is kind of what we've been saying all along, it gives people an actionable way to support you when they might be feeling powerless, when they might be, and this is very true for caregivers, feeling a loss of control about what in the world they can do about your diagnosis. This gives them something to do with that feeling. So it actually can be really great for that relationship. Speaking of your support system and the who's who in there, right? Let's break this down into categories and buckets, okay? This may seem elementary or obvious, but just for the purposes, sometimes I think there's great value in just laying it out and articulating it and saying it out loud. Think of your healthcare professionals, whether that is Jillian here as the support group navigator of a group or a therapist or the nurse navigator or your medical team, an oncologist or the chemo infusion suite, nurses. That is your healthcare professionals. These are the people that day in and day out are working to provide support to people going through cancer, right? These folks have sat with many, many survivors. So they have the kind of perspective of this is what we've learned over time. These are some things you might expect. They can educate, they can lead you to referrals and resources. The whole conversation happening in our chat right now about, hey, can somebody identify a medical transportation resource, right? Those healthcare professionals would also have their fingers in a lot of those things, whether it's financial toxicity or whether it's logistical and practical support, or whether it's helping you better understand where to get reliable, good information about your diagnosis that you can trust. Medical professionals can help you kind of identify needs or things that you might be experiencing that you don't even know how to put words to, right? We know that this can often be the case that sometimes survivors experience X, Y, and Z. Oh my gosh, I am experiencing that. I didn't even know how to put words to it. So bringing them along for the ride can kind of turn a lot of lights on in the room, right? Peers. That's the other people in the camera today sitting right here in this group with us. The other cancer survivors who, somewhere in their own little corner of the universe, are also waking up and going through treatment and facing how to navigate side effects and symptoms and how to have hard conversations with their medical team and how to make treatment related decisions, right? This group is walking the walk. They know what it looks like to be at 2 a.m. in the morning and up with their thoughts and their feelings. How are they doing it? In the way you talk and share together. So I am also watching the chat in this group today, and I'm watching that valuable support happen right in front of my very eyes, right? That you're talking about it, you're naming it, you're supporting, you're responding to each other. And that support is very different than what you get from a healthcare professional. I think it's so powerful. You feel more normal, you feel more cared for, and it's out there and people seek it and want it. So find those things, okay? Then the third group of people are friends and family, right? They're around, they're wherever they are, but these are people that have known you your entire life. They may not get cancer. They may fall short in understanding you in certain ways, but they know who you are, right? They know what your tendencies are. They care about you. They love you. So where are those folks in your life? And the other thing is that sometimes we have strained relationships with friends and family. I understand that. But where might they serve a value in giving you a place to parachute out of this for sometimes? We're going to talk about that here in a second more too. Healthcare professionals, I already kind of went through this, but if you're looking for a therapist, people always ask me, how do I find a therapist? How do I do that? I think you can find certain professionals, even like the facilitator of a support group or the staff at the hospital can be really great for those one-on-one conversations and to help you understand what's going on for you. But people are always like, how do I find a therapist? Things to consider are location. Can I get there? Is this remote? Cost and insurance, professional reasons, their training, their background, their experience. What just jives with you? The most effective therapist is the one with whom you feel understood and you feel like they listen and they're kind of willing to sit right there with you. It doesn't matter where it just so you feel understood and you feel like they're caring to kind of get in and understand where you are coming from. So thinking about that, there's a lot of different resources for that. And there's even in the world of oncology, a lot of free resources for emotional and mental support too. Peer-to-peer support, kind of just got a slide for each, though we've kind of talked about this. They can help normalize the experience. I always say to my clients if they're feeling a bit ambivalent about a support group, and this group that we're doing today is a little bit more like education focused webinar type, right? I love that you're filling the chat. That's where you're finding each other. But you can go to other groups, right, or support groups where everybody just kind of brings the flavor of the day, like how are we doing, and you kind of you meet each other in that space. I find in those types of groups, you kind of there's two broad overreaching kind of values, and you guys can tell me what you find too. There's one that you don't feel alone, right? Oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. Someone else is feeling the exact same thing. This is normalizing what I thought I was like totally coping poorly. Turns out I'm right on track. That's really relieving to hear. It's reassuring. That's great. The second is the opposite. I have certain patients in mind that go into a group, they feel that sense of normalization and sense of connection, but they also walk away and they feel quietly and privately grateful for some things in their own life. That sometimes when we walk into rooms, we hear other issues and other problems, and not to minimize or dismiss your own, but sometimes it can highlight and show you perspective of, oh God, I feel grateful for this for me. Or this, I'm really walking away feeling a sense of perspective around. So a support group can also do that for you too. Sometimes. Support groups also can be places where you unite. Advocacy groups, a lot of survivors feel a real sense of like wanting to give back or do something, make meaning or purpose out of this daggone diagnosis. And peer support related groups can be places where you unite for real change. You can learn from others, tips and tricks. Our chat is flying. I hope that you're seeing that, right? But you're learning from each other. You're talking to each other. What works, what doesn't work, what's worked for me. I know people gather tips and tricks from other people, and that's fantastic. Um, I'm hearing those things in the chat. Groups help me feel understood and not alone in my struggle. Yes, yes. Sometimes there's a concept called universal suffering. And the concept of universal suffering, I don't know if any of you know that, but it is that there is someone just knowing that somewhere else in this big giant world, someone else is waking up alone in their kitchen, in their house, and they are figuring, just like me, they are putting on their pants and they're figuring out how to do this one day ahead. And that doesn't change my struggle. It doesn't take anything away. But somehow just knowing that there's someone else out there too, like me, that's figuring this out, that's helpful. You're not holding that alone. Support peer groups provide reassurance and validation. Okay. I'm seeing in the chat that support groups incredibly helpful and relevant with members who share and are really open and supportive. Neighbors can be, so that's, you just said, please mention how neighbors can really help. Ding, ding, ding. Let's go to this next one. Family and friends. These are the people that are surrounding you. They don't have cancer. They don't quite get all of that. They don't know the dark and twisty. They don't know the tips and tricks with dealing with like nausea or fatigue, cancer-related fatigue. They don't get that, but they know you and they know you have a dog and that we are gone. They're like, hey, so you want me to walk the dog, or you want me to grab your mail, or can I kind of be of support around her? They just pop over with something. They know you. They care about you. They may be more available on a consistent basis. These friends right here in the support group, they're there to reassure you, but you can't necessarily reach out to your fellow support group member when you need something now, right? They're not available to you in that way. You may feel more comfortable sharing your vulnerabilities. People are different. I notice that some people really give their vulnerabilities and kind of their really sticky stuff to a group because they feel like that's where they get it. And other people are kind of find that that's with their inner circle of somebody that's really close to them for the longevity of their life, right? Um, they may serve as an escape or distraction, and I'm going to get to that here. I have got this slide that I've added into most talks that I've done throughout my career. And it's for some reason I do a whole doggone presentation and everybody just remembers this one slide. So I want you to kind of sit back in your life right now. And I want you to think about all of the people that surround you, whoever they are. They might be the neighbors, community of faith, your healthcare team, your long-term college roommates, or your friends, or your family, or your I don't know, your mahjong group, or who knows? I don't know what you all do. Your whatever, who knows, right? But sit back and think about that whole group. We're going to categorize that entire group of people into three categories, and I use the acronym FDR because it is easy for me to remember, FDR. But the first group are feeling. So when you think of that big group of individuals, who in that group are your feeling friends? These are the people who know exactly how to be there for you. They can tolerate the bottom of the well. They can sit right with you. When you cry and you get dark and twisty, or when you worry and you feel overwhelmed, they don't join the roller coaster with you. They keep 2 feet on the ground and they're right there with you, but they don't run away. If you can think of, most people have a very few, that's a tight, tight, intimate circle. So I think if you've got two, maybe three, one to three, that's normal, right? It's not a huge swath of people. It's a very intimate group of people. Those are your feeling friends. That's where you take the big stuff. The second group is kind of the large group, the D, the doers. These people in your circle, that when you think back of all the people in your community, these people do deeply care about you. They are interested. They know what's going on. They care. They want to support you. They will stop and they will dive in whatever you concrete and ask them to do. But if you lose it, or you get really upset, they are like a deer in the headlights. They might go to cliches, toxic positivity. They try to problem solve and fix it. They somehow miss the mark. They just don't quite, they care about you, and you do know that. But the way they respond when you go there with the big, intimate, difficult stuff isn't quite working, right? Those are your doers. Save the big stuff for the F people. Give the D stuff something to do, okay? And connect with them in those tangible, concrete ways. Then the third group, or what I call R, for respite. And this group may be the group that you've been disappointed by, quite frankly. They haven't asked you anything. They never text or call. When they do see you, they don't go there. It's surprising. It's shocking. It may be even hurtful, right? Now, I will put the caveat that I don't know what relationships these R's might be in, and there may be some that you address that with, depending on their capacity to hear it. So we'll just kind of put them in their special crowd. But for most part, those are people that you kind of want to write off. You're like, I can't. I got to let them go. They're not serving me. But I have done this work long enough to know that there may be days when you are sick and tired of your cancer diagnosis and you don't want to talk about it. And you don't want to think about it and you want to escape. I want to go and I don't want people to give me puppy dog eyes and ask me how I am and I don't have to talk about it and I don't have to come up with an answer. Well, you go right on over there to an R friend. They won't ask you a doggone thing about cancer. They won't even say how you doing. You can escape over there and it's safe. So if you find yourself with a day where I don't want to talk about it, go to an R friend. They'll talk all about themselves all day long. They'll tell you about everything that's going on with World Series and kind of the change of weather and what their plans are for the holidays, whatever, and you can escape and you can feel a little safe there. So it's kind of helpful sometimes to know who you're going to. It protects you so that you don't go to an R friend and ask them to do something because they're very busy. They don't have time. You go to a D friend. You don't go to a D friend with the big, heavy emotions of uncertainty and worry and fear because they don't know how to handle that, right? So it protects you, right? Um, Pay close attention. Back to caring for you, outside of logistical and practical, outside of relationships and where you go for support. But how are you doing? How are you doing? What is working? What's not working? What in this current right now, given the circumstances of going through cancer treatment or healing or figuring out survivorship or wherever I find you today, what brings you joy? What makes you feel content? What makes you feel grateful? What makes you feel calm? Do you know what that is? Because that state of being is important. It's important that as we live our big giant lives, we also upload the good, I call it. Like if you think of like uploading a new app or uploading a new software program, we sometimes have to upload the good, right? What's working? Where do I find some joy? And especially in our big giant world, that's kind of crazy too. So you're dealing with cancer and our world's a little nutty as well. So where do you find stories and things that kind of bring you joy? Watch for it. Notice it. I think it matters. Name your feelings. If I could give you any homework today, cultivate a habit of noticing yourself and then growing your feeling word vocabulary. What am I feeling? I am feeling I'm feeling pressure. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling grateful. Notice what you're feeling. And remember that thing I said in the very beginning? If that feeling is a uncomfortable feeling, it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or unhealthy. Just what is it trying to tell you? What are you needing? If you're feeling impatient, are you needing more time? Are you needing answers? Are you needing respect? Are you needing consideration? Are you needing partnership? What are you needing? Notice your calm and peaceful moments. I said that sometimes when we are going through things that are difficult and hard, that is the doggone loudest thing in the room, right? What's not working? What is a loss? What is grief? What is changed? What is a heartbreak? It's so loud. And we're biologically programmed for it to be that way, right? Because our fear and our worry are working extra hard to keep us safe and to make sure that we're prepared for whatever's coming. So we worry about it, right? We want to be prepared and we're scared because we're trying to protect ourselves. So those feelings are healthy and they're doing their job, but my good gracious, they're loud. You have to exert some more energy and some more effort often to notice what's working and where you're feeling motivated, where you're feeling valued. Take some time, pay attention. There's a lot out there about affirmation statements as a tool toward mental health, right? After I am strong, I can do hard things, I am loved, I am whatever. There's a lot out there about that. I think that's great. And if that's working for you, please continue. There is also a little kind of shadow truth here that there has been some science that has shown that the affirmations can work the reverse, make you feel worse if your narrative doesn't believe it. So if you say I am strong, and then right away that little gremlin in your voice says, no, you're not. You're laying on the bathroom floor crying and you're not getting anything done. And when's the last time you went to the grocery store and your hair doesn't look like anybody else's hair and blah, 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 blah. So if you got a gremlin that combats your affirmation statement, is not working. You've got tug of war in your brain. So what I would recommend, or what I would kind of empower you to kind of do, maybe this is my second homework, is connect an affirmation statement with an honest action statement that you have done. So I am strong when I'm honest about my limits and I don't pretend I'm okay. Now you can believe it because you just did that at noon, right? I am doing the best I can when I take time to notice how I feel and what I need. I can get behind that, right? I love myself when I take time to go for a walk or I get to bed on time, right? So it's telling you this is what it looks like to love myself. This is what it looks like when I'm painting the picture for you. So maybe begin to consider what that is for you. How do you pair an affirmation statement with an action statement? This is, I believe, my last slide, and then I'm going to stop and we can kind of stop recording and just see where I find you, which we've not left a ton of time, but we have a little snippet of time. But find purpose in you, in your day, in your time. Good gracious, that sounds like such a gigantic statement, but it matters a great deal that you feel like you matter somewhere, right? That what you do is important. There's an interesting study. I'll try and make it quick. Ellen Langer, super cool human. You should look her up. I don't know if any of you already know her. She's a professor at Harvard. I think she's awesome. I think all the things she does are kind of neat. She's got a new book out around chronic health and well-being. But she did a study around purpose, and she went into a nursing retirement home and she gave everyone in the retirement home a house plant. Yay. And half of the group, she said, listen, we're giving everybody a house plant today. Don't worry about it. The staff will take care of it. Great. And then the other half of the group, she said, listen, everybody's getting a house plant today. It's yours, but you have to take care of it and you have to water it. You have to check the soil and you have to prune off the dead leaves if it has some, and you just have to take care of it. Simultaneously, she did like kind of some surveys around like physical and mental health, like even things like blood pressure and healing rate and things like this. And what we found over the course of time is those patients that had a purpose, had something that they had to wake up and do, had stronger sense of well-being and were feeling better and they were feeling more calm. Their overall sense of health was better. Now, many other factors could also play into that, but having a purpose is meaningful. Where, what do you do? Where do you matter to people? What are your values? When it's real dark, that's what you lean in. That's your North Star, right? Turn your attention to something outside of your struggles. Sometimes we need to get out of the spotlight. Oh my gosh, cancer, my own things that aren't working for me. Blah, I'm just going to go right on over here. You are more than your diagnosis. I'm going to get out of my own head and I'm going to go care for somebody else. Tell me about you. Where are you? What's your struggle? Can I help you with, you've got a lot going on. How can I be of help to you? Surprisingly, that can help you help somebody else. Set small goals. Goals is a kind of complicated word for cancer survivors, right? When our future feels uncertain. But what can you do today? What can you maybe do in the month of December? What can you plan to do this week? I don't know. Think about that. Okay, we don't have a ton of time. We've got 5 minutes, but I thank you for letting me be here and talk about this important topic. Hopefully it resonates for many of you in so many ways. And for those who are listening later, I hope we've given you a lot to kind of think about and to hold on to.